Pipistrello in the Cursed Yoyo is the first ever Yoyo-vania and had such a great time playing it. I thought it'd be a quick little indie game, but it's deceptively long and there's so much in this game that I just didn't expect. So sit back, relax, while I take you on the journey to earn the Platinum trophy, and thank you so much to the dev and PR team for sending over an early code for the game. So before we even get into the game, I wanted to acknowledge that the game has all tons of fun little visual options. You can mimic a glass screen, change the font, and if you want to, you can play the entire game in this cool handheld mode. It's also got a ton of custom difficulty and accessibility options, which will come in very handy later in the game. Now let's get into the game itself. We're playing as Pipit, and we're going to see our aunt in our manor, but she didn't answer the door, so we need to go find her. We start off our journey with some simple combat and our first look at how the yo-yo can deflect off walls. We then get a very basic puzzle and 3 more examples of how crazy the yo-yo deflections can get, and this tutorial honestly sums up the entire game. You fight enemies, you solve puzzles, and you're always surprised by what you can actually do with the mechanics. I won't go too deep into the story because it is fairly basic, but after we find our aunt, 4 bad guys come in and basically steal her soul to power their mega batteries. However, because we interfere and throw our yo-yo in, they do manage to power them, but she also gets sucked into the yo-yo. So the point of the game is to fight those bad guys, take their mega batteries back, and get our auntie out of the yo-yo. And our first task is to get to a safe house, where along the way we learn how to throw our yo-yo to hit switches. And of course this mechanic is quickly expanded upon, because we can throw it at these corner pieces to deflect it. And we get our first of many trophies for reaching the safe house. Safe houses are hubs where later on we can upgrade different abilities, but for now all we can do here is find our first badge. These are little buffs which do all sorts of different things, and each badge takes up a certain amount of badge points, so we can equip this badge that lets us see enemies' health for 2 BP, and then we're put out into the world. We're told that one of the bad guys is to the west and another is to the east, and the other 2 are in a locked area to the north called the North Plaza, and for the only missable trophy in the game, we need to reach that area without defeating the first 2 bosses. This won't be relevant for a few more hours, but just remember that we can't defeat any of the bosses until we get to the North Plaza. For now, we just get to explore the South Plaza, finding coins, classic Metroidvania you don't have this power yet areas, someone to help build badges, fast travel points, and someone to buy upgrades from. Now, the way upgrades work in this game is quite unique. Once you select the upgrade you want, you'll sign a contract and go into debt. While in debt, you get a debuff, so for this first one we only have 2 health points. And now, half of all the coins we collect will go off to pay that debt. So once we gain 500 more coins, we unlock an extra badge point. And if we talk to Pippo, we can turn blueprints we find into badges, which we don't have any of yet. But we can also upgrade the badges we find to either make them more powerful or more efficient. So we spend some money here to make our eye badge only cost 1 badge point. I decided to head to the east first, which is the Slime Tycoon area, and we found our first puzzle with them. These are individual single screen puzzles that utilise some kind of fun mechanic, and these are maybe some of the best parts of the game. This one is obviously super simple, but as more mechanics are introduced in the game, they get wild and they feel so fresh every time. For completing this puzzle, we get our first petal container, and this is essentially a heart piece. So if we get 8 of these, we get a new health point. And for the platinum, we need to collect a total of 24. This second puzzle room teaches us about gates that block items from going through, meaning we'll have to find a different way to get this key to the container. After doing a ton of exploring, we had paid off our contract and could go collect our new upgrade. Our debuff is removed, but obviously we sign up for another contract right away. The game is full of fun puzzles, and obviously there are only so many times in this video I can say, look at this cool puzzle. So I won't be showing much more of these unless they're very fun or something unique, but just know that I'm having a blast. I do want to quickly touch on combat because I don't really like it. I'm not super into combat in games anyway, unless it's like the point of the game with something like a Souls game, but the combat here just doesn't feel great in my opinion, and some of the encounters feel super hard for no reason. Obviously there are accessibility options, and if you want to, you could turn on invincibility and one-hit kills, but I wish the game was either balanced a bit better, or there was just an actual difficulty option at the start of the game. It just feels weird to find the game a bit too hard, and then you have to decide what settings you need to change to make it easier, but not stupidly easy. And I think this is an issue because the game has such a great vibe and aesthetic, so I feel like I could recommend it to people who don't actually play a lot of games. But if I did, I feel like I need to warn them about the difficulty first. After about 5 minutes, I did manage to finally clear this screen, and we did get a special move, which will hopefully make future combat a little bit easier. While on my way to the first boss, I found my first blueprint, and by taking it back to the safe house, we can pay some money to get a badge and a trophy. To solve this puzzle, we need to throw the key in a loop and then grab it on the other side. But if we just leave it going for 30 seconds, we can get another trophy. And just after this, we found this guy in a sewer who told us about charged moves. So over the course of the game, we can learn 3 charged moves and 3 special moves, and each one has a trophy tied to it. For the ones we have equipped now, we just have to hit and kill a bunch of enemies with them. In this sewer, we find our first badge point shard, and if we collect 2 of these, we get a new badge point, and for the platinum, we need 14 in total. These work the same way as the petal containers, so I won't be mentioning them again, but in the background, I'm collecting every one that I find. At this point, we had almost finished the east area, and essentially entered the Zelda-style dungeon at the end. However, because we need to reach North Plaza without defeating the bosses, I decided to leave and head west. Bear in mind, I still don't actually know what this trophy means at this point, because when I head to the North Plaza, I can see 2 switches, but I can't hit either of them. The west is Don Medeti territory, who's using the Mega Battery to get people to buy his fast food, so naturally, we need to take him down. The majority of the trophies in the game are either story related, combat related, or collectible related, but there's a handful of challenges in the game we need to complete, and the first one we find is this jumping challenge where we need to avoid spikes. There are 3 levels to this, and it does ramp up quite fast, but it's not too bad. However, you can change the game speed if you're having a tough time with it. And just a few minutes later, we find another challenge we can take part in. This is a combat arena, and it's one of the best ways to make money in the game. You'll have to pay to get in, but you make so much back that it's definitely worth it. After a few attempts, we completed the first stage, but we need to come back later to take on the other 2 stages when we unlock them. But when we do, we'll have a lot more health because we just got our 8th petal container. And along the way to the second boss, we got another charged move and learned how to parry projectiles. You can only have 1 charged move and 1 special move equipped at the one time, so we can only work towards 2 trophies at a time. But over the course of the next half hour, we killed 100 enemies with a sleeper move, parried 50 projectiles, and hit 360 enemies with the Around the World. And of course, something I didn't even think about, when you're going through a Zelda dungeon, you always get a new item or traversal ability. So in the west area, we unlock the ability to walk the dog, which means we can now safely travel over water or any other liquid. However, once we start moving in a direction, we can't turn unless we hit a diagonal wall, and this obviously opens up a whole new range of puzzles we can solve. However, after needing the boss of this area, I remembered that trophy, so again, I left before actually defeating them. And now that we can walk the dog, I was able to hit one of the switches to the North Plaza. So I knew that in the east, I could get a power to cross this gap and hit the other one. Another small issue I have with this game is that I don't think the upgrades are very good, and at this point I didn't really want to get a debt debuff just to get a skill that I don't actually care about, so I took a quick detour and set the accessibility options so I do a ton of damage and enemies drop more money. And then I just quickly head back into the arena to get the leveling up that I need to do out of the way, and then I can just enjoy the rest of the game. Just 1 or 2 goes at the arena was enough to get a contract fulfilled, and along the way we killed 100 enemies with a flurry attack, spent 10,000 coins on contracts, and unlocked one of the 2 final upgrades, which will make our special moves more special. And honestly, I just did not care about any of these other upgrades. Just a few minutes after this grind, we got our second badge shard and we could now hold more badges, but we still hadn't actually found any cool ones yet. So we made our way back to the east boss area, where we discover bombs and breakable rocks. But the actual ability we get is that if we shoot our yo-yo at a wall close up, it will propel us backwards and let us cross large gaps. And with this new ability, it means we can once again leave the area and finally reach the North Plaza without defeating Don Medeti or the Slime Tycoon. Here we find out that the other 2 bosses are once again in the east and the west, but first let's go back and actually defeat the 2 bosses that we're almost at anyway. We wall dashed our way around the east area until we fought the Slime Tycoon, who blew himself up. And we can now grab the Mega Battery off him. Then we could head back to the west and walk the dog over some oil until we ran into Don Medeti, who had much more of a puzzle style fight, as you had to dodge his deflecting bullets until you enter his health bar. And after defeating him, we could now grab his Mega Battery. And then we just do the loop again. We head to the North Plaza and then west to find the football area. Something I want to point out here is I think the soundtrack is fantastic in this game. They even got Yoko Shimomura to compose one of the songs, but I really love this song inspired by football chant. To get into the football stadium and find the Mega Battery, we'll need to start a fan club of at least 5 people. So we now explore the outside area to find people to join, along with using our new abilities and mechanics to find badges, petal containers and badge shards. It is worth noting that to get the platinum, you don't need to solve every single puzzle, which does mean if you get stuck in a puzzle like I did here, you can just move on if you want. Or maybe there will be an ability later on which will make that puzzle much easier. But either way, I got the platinum with 63% game completion. After getting into the stadium, we got our new to the verso ability, which allows us to ride on walls. And this is maybe my favourite of the ones you unlock, because you can use it later on to basically break the game and skip entire sections, which, you know, that's always fun. The next trophy we get is for defeating the boss here, but instead of an actual boss fight, we get to play football. Even though the game's made by a Brazilian studio, the football in the game is a weird mashup of actual football and American football. We need to take the football from our goal to their goal, and we need to score 3 times. And each time we score, more and more obstacles appear on the pitch. And after winning the game, it's revealed that all the players are robots, and the fans start the voting because they realise that all their bets have been rigged, which gives us a window to grab the 3rd mega battery. Before heading east, for the whole game I've been looking for a place to get this trophy for walking the dog for 30 seconds, which basically just means you need to find a big empty stretch of land, so I thought the pitch would be perfect for this. However, as you can see, this large area somehow only gives us 10 seconds. So I tried again while heading into the east area, and accidentally found a bug, because this line of people doesn't actually stop you from moving. So, you know, I'll take it. And just a few minutes later, we had now killed 100 enemies with our new charged move. And now it was time for another challenge as we enter the escape house. This is basically just a speedrun through a bunch of platforming challenges. In the top left it tracks your time, and in the bottom left you can see how many hooks that I've grabbed. Hooks let you grapple to them and then jump off. I wasn't exactly sure what I was doing here, but as you can see there's multiple ways to pass each screen, and we finished with a time of 6 minutes 30 and 70 hooks. But to get the other 2 prizes, we need to beat it in under 3 minutes and only use 25 hooks. Thankfully, you are able to do these separately. So one of these runs will be a speed run, doing whatever you can to finish quickly, and the other is more of a puzzle, as you work out which hooks you actually need to grab. Annoyingly, on the speed run I was short by 8 seconds, so we go again. Much better. And I genuinely had a lot of fun trying to avoid the hooks, using all my abilities together to find out what weird ways you can get by, and only using the hooks when I felt like I absolutely had to. For finishing both challenges, we got a trophy, and the badge we unlocked was our 20th badge. And they just keep coming because we got our final special move trophy, and we found our 24th petal container. Then we entered the shooting gallery, where we need to throw our yo-yo and try to hit the enemies. And to get the trophy, we need to beat a high score of 38. This did take me a while, but the pattern is always the same, so it's easy to learn it. And once you get a score of 30, you unlock a badge which makes your yo-yo's hitbox a lot bigger. And as soon as I equipped this, it made the whole thing a lot easier. Now we could finally move on to the final area of the game where we unlocked the ability to throw the yo-yo and make a temporary platform. This ability is maybe the least exciting of the 4, but it's still quite useful and it works well with the others. And we use this ability to take us to the 4th boss and find the final mega battery. Now that we have all of the batteries, we're told to head north again to the manor to finish the game, but since we're at the end of the game, it's now cleanup time. First we head back to the arena since we had now unlocked the other 2 stages. Then we had to kill 100 enemies with pigeons. If you throw popcorn, pigeons will come down and attack it. So I basically just found this loop next to a popcorn seller, and I let the pigeons kill all the respawning enemies, and if the popcorn ran out, I could just buy some more. Then I head to this person who you can pay to reveal things on your map. I still needed some more badge shards, so I found out where they were and then went and got them. And now, other than the platinum, we have 2 trophies left. One is for finishing the game, another is called breaking the game for finding a cheater's badge. Obviously, when I was playing there weren't any guides out, so this one actually had me stuck for a while. I noticed on PSN profiles that other people had got the trophy, and some had got it early on and others had got it very late, so I wasn't exactly sure when you get it. But because of the trophy image and the name, I was convinced it was some kind of random secret trophy to do with the handheld mode. Maybe there's a button combination you need to put in, do you need to use it in a certain location? I even tried the Konami code at one point. Then I maybe thought it was something to do with the difficulty menu. You know, like if you make yourself invincible, can you get into an area that you're not supposed to? I had no clue. But I did notice it was specifically a badge that I was trying to find. So I went back to the map person and put all the badges on the map, and then I just went one by one to find them all. And very quickly I found the Cheaters Unleashed badge. This actually allows you to move directions while on the water, which essentially makes all of these puzzles not even puzzles. I think it's such a fun idea to put these game breaking items in the actual game, and I'm super excited to see what speedrunners do with this. By finding the cheater's badge, it meant the collectible cleanup was now over and it was time to finish the game. We made our way through one last dungeon until we fight one last boss fight and solved one last puzzle. I hope this game gets the love it deserves because it's genuinely just great fun and such a breath of fresh air. And I've purposely left out a lot of cool stuff, so if you've enjoyed the video then definitely look into playing the game itself. Thanks again to the dev and PR team for sending over the code, and thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel then hit subscribe for more videos like this, and have a good one.